And once again, good morning and welcome to the fall 2024 semester and the 2024-25 academic year. Once again, we arrive at the beginning of a new academic year on a wave of successes. In fact, Dr. Savoy will discuss many of those successes in his address in just a few minutes. But I want to take a minute to talk about where we are in our 2023-28 strategic plan, Vision Louisiana. As you know, we launched this plan last fall with the unveiling of our framework and our high-level public-facing plan. And during the past year, each division on campus began to work on operationalizing that plan. And it shouldn't be surprising that the vast majority of efforts that you witnessed on our campus last year reflect the aspirations, the values, and the enduring commitments that are foundational to this plan. The list is extensive and addresses both pressing and strategic needs on our campus and in our community. Mental health awareness, structuring a staff council to promote better communication within our campus community, new marketing strategies, improved alignment of resource allocation with our core mission. From national prominence as an R1 institution to national rankings in athletics, our operations are focusing in on the strategic imperatives that will drive our institution to the next level of success over the next 5 years. Through all of these accomplishments last year, it's clearly evident that our institution has and will continue to have the academic mission at the heart of its plan. The recent designation as an R1 institution and the subsequent designations that we seek and will attain are all evidence of our commitment to student success, our faculty members' commitment to those students, as well as our faculty members' commitments to their research and creative endeavors. It's also evident of our staff members' commitment to ongoing maintenance of our culture throughout our day-to-day operations. We simply cannot accomplish the milestones that we have accomplished without the people that are in this room. We know that. And we know that the alignment of personnel and fiscal resources with these strategic imperatives is critical to our future success. But I assure you that the entire university administration is committed to those imperatives that you have dedicated yourselves and your careers to accomplishing. There's no better indication of this commitment than the new people who you see in this room today. This fall, we welcome an unprecedented 65 new faculty members to our ranks here at the University of Louisiana Lafayette. Would those new faculty members please stand? Welcome to the Raging Cajun family, and next fall, we'd like you in the front. The commitment to investing in the resources necessary to achieve our goals grows stronger each and every year. Our faculty travel grant program has gone from a $50,000 fund balance to support faculty to a $200,000 balance to support faculty travel. This is thanks in large part to the Division of Research, Innovation, and Economic Development, who helped us double that fund this year. And there are numerous other examples of the investment in academics just this past year. Increased support for Advance, our undergraduate research program, 45 new doctoral TAs on our campus this fall. and the pledged support of our administration to develop new programs throughout our broader university community. You may not realize this, but in the years 2017 to 2023, there were only 7 new programs launched here at the University of Louisiana-Lafayette. 1 undergraduate certificate, 2 master's certificates, 3 master's degrees, and 1 PhD in Earth and Energy Sciences. Now, granted, the COVID years were within that time frame, and they came with some major fiscal uncertainties. But we truly had very little growth in the breadth of our programming during that time. We invested internally into programs that we already had, and that helped us in achieving our R1 status, and it helped position us for strategic expansion in many other critical areas on our campus. These are wonderful, amazing accomplishments, but they are far short of the potential impact that a faculty like you have. Our recently submitted academic plan is a bold and ambitious plan. It's based on your passions, it's based on your expertise, on your accomplishments, and your desire to move this institution toward its next phase of national prominence. The next 5 years are guaranteed to be transformational once again for us, with a focus on increased doctoral productivity, expansion into critical workforce areas such as the health sciences, and positioning our infrastructure in the arts and the humanities to better serve our regional and global cultures. We will boldly position the University of Louisiana-Lafayette among the most impactful R1 institutions in the nation. But as we move forward on that journey over the next 5 years, as we modify and implement this plan and all of the strategic imperatives within that plan, we should take time and step back periodically. Step back to remind ourselves that really isn't enough to just accomplish the milestones. We have to accomplish these milestones our way, with the values and the enduring commitments that we set out in our strategic framework. This framework defines who we are as Raging Cajuns, while being what we are to the world of higher education. And we can't just publish these values. Each and every one of us in this room have to live these values and embrace these enduring commitments. In my mind, I don't think there's a better example of a person who lives and personifies these values and commitments more than our president. And it's an honor. It's an honor to be a part of his team. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to provide his State of the University address, our president, Dr. E. Joseph Savoy.
Good morning, and thank all of you for being here, and welcome to the State of the University and to the fall 2024 semester. I want to thank Dr. Hebert for the introduction, and I want to join him in welcoming our new deans and faculty members. Now, I had the opportunity to talk with many of them last night at a reception that we had at the President's House. It's an exceptional collection of scholars and researchers and teachers, and we're very fortunate to have them here, and our students and our community are fortunate to have them here too. And judging from last night's bar tab, they're going to fit in real well into their new home. So cheers and welcome. And in the past year, the university celebrated its 125th birthday, and it set a course for the next 125 years of growth and success. We welcome future nurses to the new health sciences campus for the first time. We broke ground on a new teaching, learning, research, and athletic spaces, and we laid the groundwork for facilities that will put our aspirations and dreams that our faculty and students have within reach. We empowered new industry and extended the influence of our student and faculty research. We informed and enlivened the community through public forums, through performances, through cultural and historical preservation. Our students and student athletes contributed hundreds of thousands of hours of volunteer service. In our classrooms, students read great poets. They learned to communicate through words and music and art and by harnessing the power of new technologies. And in the past year, we retired WebAid. But you know, on a more serious note, we also drew together as we have before in times of tragedy. At the end of the spring semester, over a very short period of time, we experienced a series of losses. Each one tore deeper into the soul of our community. You know, hindsight is powerful. It can also be productive. In reflecting on that sad time, we recognized that there were many things that we could have done better in communicating, in offering support, and in recognizing how silence sometimes deepens pain and creates uncertainty. So in acknowledging our shortcomings, I'm also grateful that so many of you, in your collective grief and with deep humanity, helped to strengthen the university. You offered support for our students, their families, and those who lost loved ones, and for each other, but you demanded that we learn from these deaths. You asked us to do better, and we heard you. This summer, a working group convened to address the concerns that you expressed. Others gathered to discuss the vital role communications play in communicating our community, to keeping our community secure. These conversations were frank and productive, and so today I'm pleased to announce the following actions that we've taken and that we plan to take to increase access to mental health resources and to enhance emergency communications. We will soon hire additional counselors for our counseling and testing center so that students and employees can be seen more quickly and receive the help and the support that they need. We're also exploring placing on-site counselors within the residence halls. In addition, this summer, the university implemented You Will, a free virtual support service. It's available 24 hours a day, every day, and offers on-demand access to mental health resources, counseling sessions, medication management, and a crisis line that allows students to speak immediately with a mental health professional. Now, You Will works in collaboration with our Counseling and Testing Center, and the partnership enables follow-up welfare checks and other local support as needed. By just this month, some 68 students have already used this potentially life-saving service. Finally, we will soon introduce a new emergency notification system that will enhance and strengthen how the university keeps its community informed and safe. The Office of Environmental Health and Safety, the Office of Communications and Marketing, the Student Affairs Division, and University Police are working together on the system's implementation to ensure that emergency communications are timely and effective. And I believe that they're about ready to start that beginning maybe a week or two. We're still working on some other things, and there's more to come. But ensuring a safe and supportive community for students and employees is our greatest responsibility. Meeting that obligation requires a constant process of examination and improvement, and it demands that we listen to each other's concerns and respond when we can. We can also always do better, and we will. Now, in the past year, we said goodbye to a number of members of the university family. They were our colleagues, our friends, and mentors. They were our students and teachers. And off campus, they were parents, grandparents, sons and daughters. They are loved ones, they are irreplaceable, and they will be missed. I'd ask you to please join me in a moment of silence to remember those that we lost this past year. Thank you. Now, in the academic year that ended earlier this month, the university awarded 3,055 degrees to its fall, spring, and summer graduating classes. That totals about 2,239 bachelor's degrees, 719 master's degrees, and 81 doctoral degrees. Each of these graduates will go out into the world as ambassadors for our institution, and while we can't take total credit for their success, we can take pride in what they achieve. And like all of us, our graduates play a vital role in student recruitment and success. They serve as examples of professionalism and potential. They hire students as interns and employees. They often return here to share their success as volunteers, as mentors, and through philanthropy. Our graduates, like many of you in this room, help create an environment of support and possibility where students want to be. And our Alumni Association plays a key role in fostering the culture and maintaining those connections long after commencement. So at this time, I'd like to thank and recognize members of our Alumni Association board who are with us. Would you please stand and let us thank you? Last fall, for the third consecutive year, we saw an increase in the number of first-time freshmen. In fact, last fall's incoming freshman class represented a more than 6% increase over the previous year and was the second largest class since the university instituted selective admissions nearly 20 years ago. 32% of the fall 2023 freshman class were first-generation students, those whose parents do not have a college degree. And that's a significant number. It represents an intergenerational investment because parents who have a college degree are more likely to have children who attend and complete college. It tells us something. We owe it not only to these students, but to future generations to provide a welcoming and supportive campus where success is in reach for everyone. You know, I've heard Dr. Bowie, our Vice President for Enrollment Management, say many times that once we get a potential student on campus, we've got them. And he's right. I think that many of us here, whether you're an alum or not, know what it means to see this campus for the first time and to feel its embrace. There's something special in these bricks and these old trees and in the smiles of our staff and faculty that make students want to be here, to experience the life-changing effects that this university can have on them. And while it's too early to have a full enrollment picture for this fall, just judging from the traffic of the last few weeks and demand for housing, I think we're looking at a pretty good year. Our freshman class should be larger than last year's freshman class. And speaking of housing, many of you have seen the headlines about the university's need to contract with 2 local hotels to house students. Our housing picture is affected by the overall housing market in Lafayette, which, as you know, is tight. So to meet the demands for beds, we sought this solution. Long term, we need to examine the possibility of building additional residence halls on campus, both to meet the needs that we have now and to meet the needs of anticipated enrollment growth in the years to come. Students want to be on our campus, and that's a good thing. And we want to welcome them, all of them, here. But housing is just one part of the environment of success we provide our students. We also owe them facilities and a physical plant that meets and matches their aspirations. As I mentioned earlier, our environment is key to our student recruitment, retention, and support. In the last legislative session that ended in June, lawmakers offered a pathway for colleges and universities across Louisiana to address a severe backlog of deferred maintenance projects. We're going to use our allocation for heating and cooling system improvements and elevator upgrades in multiple buildings. OK Allen Hall, Agnes Edwards Hall, and Brook Street Annex and the ROTC building will receive new roofs. Several buildings will receive much-needed security enhancements. Campus sidewalks will be repaired and ADA compliance upgrades will be made to several buildings. Both will make the campus easier to navigate for students and faculty members alike. Now, this is a good start, but with 335 buildings and growing across multiple campuses and 4 parishes, we will always have maintenance needs. And some of our buildings are over 120 years old and are among the oldest structures still in use on any public college campus in the state. And thanks to legislative leaders, particularly members of the Acadiana delegation, two of these venerable buildings, Foster Hall and DeCluett Hall, will be fully revamped with renovations starting this spring. Now, Foster Hall was completed in 1902 as a dormitory. It's the oldest building on the main campus. DeCluett Hall was constructed just a short time later. Today, both house vital services that promote student success, including financial aid, student work study, and federal programs that promote access and achievement for students from first-generation and underrepresented backgrounds. Foster and DeCluett are but two examples of the planned and ongoing construction projects the university is overseeing. In fact, as I've said in the past, we are now managing more construction projects than at any time since before World War II. Now, we did the math. There are $601 million of funded projects that are now either in design or under construction. And an additional $535 million in new projects have been requested through capital outlay. Now, that's more than $1.1 billion in facility projects that are in design, under construction, or in our capital outlay request. Let me say that again, $1.1 billion. So I want to recognize members of our facilities and maintenance team who are working double time and triple time to keep these projects going. Would the facilities team please stand and let us recognize you? We want to thank you for your incredible work. Now, if students, parents, the public, alumni, and community partners love our campus now and look to our facilities as points of pride and potential, just wait until they get a look at us in a few years from now. I'll give you an update shortly on a number of ongoing projects, but I wanted to stay with the billion-dollar figure for a moment because it can be easy to get distracted by a substantial number like that. Let's talk about what it really means. That figure represents the expenses that we are making, the payments that we are making into this community for construction and renovations and all sorts of other things. But let's take one example, Cajun Field, for example. That's a $65 million project. And that $65 million represents an extraordinary infusion into the local and regional economy. It's an investment, not just in the future of Louisiana Raging Cajun football or the student athletes who will play there. That $65 million supports architects and designers, demolition and construction crews, contractors and subcontractors, engineering and environmental firms, suppliers, manufacturers, interior decorators, and safety experts. From conception to completion, the transformation of Our Lady of Lourdes Stadium is a homegrown project that will benefit this community economically, socially, and spiritually for years to come. I say spiritually because nothing has made fans pray for a miracle or believe in them than game day, Cajun Field. Now, I'd like to recognize several groups of people who have made this project in particular possible. Thanks to our partners, Our Lady of Lourdes. I think there's some here. Would you please stand? Members of the UL Foundation Board, would you please stand? Raging Cajun Facilities Incorporated Board, would you please stand? There we go. In the back. And members of the Raging Cajuns Athletic Foundation Board, would you stand as well? Now, we are thankful to Governor Landry. We are thankful to members of our legislative delegation, many of whom are here with us today. And I'd like to ask them to please stand when I recognize them. We have with us Representative Chad Boyer. Chad, you here? Thank you. Representative Brock Myers. Representative Timmy Chesson. Representative and former president of our Alumni Association, Troy Hebert. Troy. superstar who's making a lot of these projects possible, Representative Julie Emerson. And finally, our strength in the Senate, Senator Gerald Boudreaux. I'd also like to welcome President Rick Gallo of the UL system, who is here. President Gallo. So thank all of you. And I want to invite all of you to the new stadium when it opens at the start of 2025. We'll let you run through the tunnel with the team. You know, one of the best perks of this that I have is these construction projects is I get to spend a lot of time fulfilling one of my favorite job duties, and that's shoveling. It should come as no surprise that I'm pretty good at it, though it's usually not dirt that I'm slinging around. But here we are at last month's groundbreaking for the Engineering Student-Centered Collaborative Building. It'll be home to the new Engineering Center of Excellence. This 65,000 square foot building is a $55 million project. It will be completed with a combination of both state and private dollars. As the name suggests, the building prioritizes student success and collaboration. But as with all these new construction projects, the engineering building will invite and support partnerships with business and industry and government, and will enable our faculty and students to share their expertise while gaining practical professional experience as well. Combined with the ongoing renovations of Madison Hall, this new building will ensure that our College of Engineering continues to lead as it has since 1940. As I mentioned last year, I think, the new engineering building will form one side of a planned STEM quad on the western edge of the campus. James Oliver Hall will serve as the second edge, while a new sciences building will be the third. And that project is currently in the design phase. And staying with the Ray P. Odomar College of Sciences for a moment, plans for renovations to Montgomery and BO halls are also continuing. In the College of Education, plans continue for renovation and opening of the new lab school in the University Research Park. Housed in the former home of the National Marine Fisheries Service that we acquired 2 years ago, the lab school will be a major catalyst for progress in K-12 education when it opens and bolsters the university's role as one of the largest producers of teachers and school administrators in Louisiana. You know, Louisiana is our home, and we are its stewards. Most of our students are from here. Most of our alumni stay here. We preserve and promote its culture and history. We enliven and inspire its arts and music community. And by being a welcoming, authentic, and fun place, this university represents the very best of what Louisiana is and what it aspires to be. But there are moments, many moments, when the work that this university does goes beyond our state and national borders and touches the world. And unlike Las Vegas, what happens here does not stay here. And I know how far away Las Vegas is from New Iberia. But the work of our New Iberia Research Center reaches well beyond the banks of the Bayou Teche. Through collaborations with some of the world's largest pharmaceutical firms and other healthcare partners, NIRC has aided in the development of therapeutics and drugs that have saved countless lives close to home and in the world's farthest corners. And now that reputation for care, excellence, and international reach will be taken to the next level. In May, we again put our shoveling skills to use when we broke ground on a Level 3 biosafety facility at NIRC. It will enable more advanced on-site research with infectious diseases and fewer delays in moving life-saving vaccines to testing to the marketplace and finally to patients who need them more quickly. And that represents better and often life-saving health outcomes. In addition, the planned construction of the Bio-Innovation Accelerator a few miles down the road in New Iberia will speed the arrival of drugs to the marketplace even more. Together, the enhancements at NIRC and the construction of the Bio-Innovation Accelerator will provide benefits to patients. It'll also be a major booster of the economy in Iberia Parish and Acadiana. The university as partners are combining their expertise in creating a new economic and industrial sector with the promise of over 500 jobs, an average annual payroll of $140 million. There's really no other way to describe it but as a major shot in the arm for the region and for the state economy. These projects in New Iberia are further proof of the role and responsibility the university has in regional economic and workforce development. By attracting new industries, by creating new sectors, and by supporting existing ones, we are, without question, a major engine for progress in economic growth. Take the new First Solar manufacturing facility that's under construction in New Iberia. In fact, it's going to be neighbors with the Bioinnovation Accelerator. When it opens, the facility will produce solar modules and employ some 700 people with an annual payroll of at least $40 million. What brought them here? It's not because we have more sun, although in the last few days it's kind of felt like it. First Solar came here because we have the knowledge, the resources, and the academic foundation to help them succeed. And the university's Solar Energy Lab, directed by Dr. Cherry Chambers, will be integral to that success. The company will rely on our facilities to help train their workforce, and they will rely on our expertise to test their products. And without question, they will hire our graduates, because First Solar knows that they're exactly what any company needs and wants: well-trained, agile, and focused members of their team. Now, in addition to his reign as Sun King, Dr. Chambers is also a history maker. This year, he helped the university attract the largest award in its history, $87 million, as part of a federal and state program. Dr. Chambers, are you here? Would you please stand and let us recognize you? Well, congratulations. Now, this is the kind of expertise that has powered and continued the impressive growth of the university's research and development expenditures over the past decade. In 2014, our R&D spending stood at $68 million. In 2022, we reported $205 million. Last year, I'm pleased to report we're right at $226 million. Now, that's an incredible 264% increase in research expenditures in the last 10 years. That's setting a pace for the country. Now, you can tell where this trajectory is headed. But as with our $1 billion in construction projects, I don't want to focus solely on the figure, even though it's impressive. As with the construction, research dollars flow through us and benefit the local and state economies. But behind that figure are people who don't often get the recognition they deserve. Now, without question, you have the researcher, whose expertise attracts support from partners in business, industry, and government, and other external funding sources. So with the recipients of any grants in the past 2 years, no matter the total, would you please stand and let us recognize you? Grant recipients. Now, behind these researchers is a dedicated team of staff members who help navigate the complex world of grant applications. They are there for every step of the way, through completing the application, through the awarding of the grant, and through its allocation. Their behind-the-scenes work is essential to the continued growth of a research infrastructure. So if you've supported a grant application the past 2 years, if you've contributed to this success, would you please stand and let us recognize you? Thanks to all of you. Now, staff members support teaching, learning, research, and administrative functions. They're often the first people that new and potential students meet, and they ensure that our students are comfortable, welcome, and prepared for the great adventure that a university environment provides. So it is critical and only fair that staff members have a voice in creating a path forward for the university. This year, as Dr. Hebert mentioned, we took the first steps in the creation of a staff council. More than 160 staff members have come together and are working to decide what the council will look like and what its objectives will be. These conversations are led by Dr. Christy Anderson, our Chief Strategy Officer. So I'd like to ask Dr. Anderson and members of the Staff Council working groups to all please stand. Thank you all. Now, equally critical to our research and academic missions are our graduate students. We call them students, but they are much more than that. They are mentors and teachers in the classroom. They're out in the field and in the labs doing research. They're examples of professionalism and responsibility. So it's important that we support graduate students as they fulfill the many roles that they serve here. To meet this obligation, the university has committed to increasing stipend levels for recipients of the PhD dissertation completion fellowships and fellowships and assistantships at both the doctoral and master's degree level. We've also eliminated all the mandatory fees for graduate student recipients of fellowships and assistantships. And in a boost to our local commitment to Louisiana's educational system, we've increased support for K-12 teachers and school administrators who are pursuing graduate degrees. Now, this represents the largest single-year increase in graduate student funding in decades. I want to thank Dean Mary Farmer Kaiser, our graduate mentors, advisors, and coordinators for their strong advocacy and continued support for graduate education. Will you all please stand and be recognized? Thank you. You know, this campus is filled with people who care and who want the best for the university and for its students. They recognize instinctively and deeply the position that our institution holds as the pulse and spirit of this part of Louisiana. We're equally as fortunate to have community partners who recognize that too and who want to support the work that we're doing here. Now, you may have seen the headlines that suggest that state funding budget is uncertain in the coming year. Let me assure you that we're looking ahead and we're working along with our legislative delegation to create a budget picture that is stable and sustainable in the future. But as you know, in times like these, private dollars become all the more important. Philanthropy enables the university to meet its most essential needs by supplementing state funding. Donors provide scholarships for students and endowed support for faculty. They also enhance the university's community service mission. Now, these are among the pillars of the university's Together campaign, the largest comprehensive fundraising initiative that we've ever undertaken. It launched publicly 3 years ago with a goal of $500 million by its conclusion next year. Today, I'm happy to report the campaign has brought in $450 million. More than 29,000 donors have contributed to the campaign so far. That figure includes over 600 faculty and staff members. To those of you who have given, thank you. If you're considering a gift, no matter the amount, thank you. If you're not considering a gift, I ask that you consider a gift. I'm very grateful to the donors, alumni, and friends who have contributed to the Together campaign and who will help us reach our goal. Now, last fall, we celebrated the generosity of one such person, a good friend, Mr. James Devin Munkus. A $7 million gift from the Munkus Family Foundation will go to support the continued growth of our health sciences campus and fund an endowment for the College of Nursing and Health Sciences. We honored this transformational gift by renaming one of the existing structures on the property as James Devin Munkus Hall. In fact, Munkus Hall welcomed the first students to campus last fall. And as our health sciences campus continues to grow, no doubt philanthropy and private partnerships with some of the largest healthcare providers in the state will play an essential role in that development. Munkus Hall will stand at its center as a reminder of the power that one person has to touch the lives of many and to shape the community and the future for the better. Another generous member of our university community is Dr. Brian Bolton. Brian is a professor. We can go ahead and clap. Brian is a professor in the B.I. Moody III College of Business Administration, and he holds the Dwight Andrus Jr. Board of Regents Support Fund Eminent Scholar Endowed Chair in Finance. Now, using funds from his endowed chair, Dr. Bolton and partners in academic affairs, the graduate school, and the Office of Campus Inclusion, Sustainability, and Vice President for Research, Innovation, and Economic Development, created an awards program that supports sustainable development research, and that's research related to social inclusion, environmental protection, and economic growth. To date, Dr. Bolton has made available $160,000 to 87 faculty and staff members and graduate students and undergraduate students. Now, as Dr. Bolton and his partners have shown, philanthropy often begins at home, and it can support wide-ranging and impactful scholarship and service projects. For example, Blair Begnaud, Jonathan Brown, and Gretchen Vandecour in the Office of Sustainability will make the case for bicycle paths and pedestrian infrastructure on campus. Dr. Nathan Rabelais in the College of Liberal Arts will examine Cajun and Creole culinary traditions. Sidney McDermott, a doctoral student in the Ray P. Audemars College of Sciences, is studying the long-term impacts of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. Dr. Jean Cartier, a professor in the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, will explore how to increase students' understanding of poverty. Joseph Kolb, an environmental science major, will use his grant to examine urban heat islands, while Leanne Hancock, an associate professor in architecture in the College of the Arts, will study how manufactured housing in the coastal South can be strengthened. Now, these are but a few examples of the work being done because of the generous and innovative program. So with Dr. Bolton and all of his partners and recipients, please stand and be recognized. Now, if there's anyone here that I haven't asked to stand, you please do so now. Thank you, too. Now, as I mentioned about 3 hours ago at the beginning of this remarks, the university observed its 125th anniversary of its founding over the past year. We celebrated this milestone with an ice cream social and an academic and research showcase. The showcase featured a comprehensive historical display that charted the growth and success of our campus over the past century and a quarter. The exhibit is now in Edith Garden Duplay Library if you'd like to take a look at it. And here I am parachuting from a plane above Cajun Field with a big 125 flag. Another of these anniversary observances took place on New Year's Day, and we did some more shoveling. That day, we planted 6 live oak trees on the Health Sciences campus, the first new trees on that property. It was an event filled with meaning and symbolism. Twice before in our history, the university has observed New Year's Day by planting trees. On January the 1st, 1901, when our founding president, Dr. Edwin Lewis Stevens, planted 40 live oaks near the intersection of what is now Johnson Street and University Avenue. And again, a century later, on January 1st, 2001, when Dr. Ray Audemars concluded the celebration of our centennial with a tree planting at the University Research Park. Now, our 125th anniversary coincided with Lafayette Parish's bicentennial celebration. And the Lafayette Consolidated Government asked the university to place items in a time capsule as part of that observance. Now, I'm not going to tell you what's in the time capsule. You'll have to wait for 99 more years and see for yourself. But we were allowed to put a letter in the time capsule as well, a message to Lafayette citizens in 2123 that reflected the university's best aspirations and deepest wishes for them. Now, I read the letter at the conclusion of the planning event. I want to share part of it with you now. It reads, "This year, as in years past, we stood at the vanguard of change and helped to animate it, not for ourselves or for our benefit, but for you and for yours. Our work in this year and in every year throughout our long history has been for you. From this vantage point, we cannot know whether we have eased your path or improved your present. We cannot know whether the trees we planted on New Year's Day 2024 still stand, or if the ideas that we seeded in our time bore fruit. We did our best, but ultimately it is for you to decide whether we have earned the praise of future generations, whether we have met our obligations to them and to you, and it is our sincere hope that we have. Now, today, as we begin a new semester and a new academic year, we recommit ourselves to that promise. Like the Century Oaks, this promise existed before any of us were here, and it will remain long after we're gone. But it is for us in this time to nurture that promise so that it exists for all time. The state of the university is strong because of the commitment to that promise. And that strength, which comes from each of you, will ensure that we fulfill that promise and will ensure that our best days are yet to come. So thank you all for what you do. Here's to a successful semester. Go Cajuns.